Time for the weekly update for Tesla and Palantir. So, first, we're going to start off with Tesla, and that is right now on the weekly chart. And basically, what I saw the whole time, the whole week, is that I wanted price to close above the week, above this level, the 0.309, which is the halfway fib between the 382 and the 236. And that level is exactly 198.43 from the all-time high down to the January 2023 low. That's that fib. And sure enough, when you zoom in right here, you can see that it did in fact close above it, which is great because now that's back in this zone, right? So I would like to see further weekly candles close above this zone and then get closer and closer back up towards the 382. And then once it can get back above the 382, then I'll be back in that trading range again between the 382 and the point 0.5, the 221 to the 258, 260 zone. So one step at a time, and essentially it did the first step. So I'd like to see that continue. And even if you put on the Ichimoku cloud here, you can see that it's the reason why it couldn't really go higher is because that baseline is now currently resistance, and that baseline sits at 204.90. So essentially, I don't think it's going to do much until it can close another week back above it and then break towards the bottom of the cloud as well, which currently coincides with the 382 Fibonacci as well. So if next week was able to get up there, that would be around the same level as the 382 and the bottom of the cloud. So it got back above this support, but still you can see each resistance level above, starting with 204.90, then this 219, then the 221, then maybe 226 would be the last step to flip that top cloud, flip the top of the cloud to a support to continue higher. So one step at a time. It did do the first step right now, so just got to be patient and wait for things to play out. Now, if I go switch to the log scale version that I did show you a while ago, you can see that this is the level that I've been paying attention to also, right? The 201 level. And you can see I've been showing this for maybe half a year now, this log scale chart. And this blue level, you can see it was a support, support, and resistance, resistance, support, resistance, right? So where did it close really right now? Well, it still kind of closed a little bit below it. So that's even more confluence that it couldn't really break above because now it's still kind of a little resistance zone. But since price is still very close to it, like you've been seeing the whole time where it's been up and down through that line, I'm still going to think price is going to gravitate towards that until it can fully flip it back to support again for a continuation higher. So everything is still in process of what it should be doing, right? It's just making higher lows, and currently it's just trying to find a new higher low. Still has not made a higher high yet, though. If you look from the all-time high here, you can see this. It's a lower high, lower high, lower high, low, 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 right? And even this was a lower high from here because there was no body of a candle close above that zone. So still, we closed at exactly 200 today, so that is a good sign, a good step, right? But still, even with that 200 close, there's still a lot of resistance above, and just need to have a little more patience. And next, I'm going to do Palantir, and Palantir is essentially right back at the 618. So that level is from the all-time high all the way down to this low here of 592. So did it close above that 618? No, it did not. So it got exactly to it. So this is technically a resistance zone, right? It's a resistance level exactly. And this is what I was waiting for to hit. But if you do look and zoom in, it did make a higher high weekly candle close from this week right here from July 24th. So this is a very positive development right here. It even made a higher high close from these candles back over here. So another positive development. But since it closed basically directly under that 618 Fibonacci level, I'm not too sure if it's going to explode up to the 7-1 or the 786 anytime soon, right? I'm pretty sure it's just going to maybe sit around there and possibly even consolidate, and possibly even come back down. So, where would support be if things did come back down? Well, we can turn to our Ichimoku cloud here, and we can see that the conversion line does sit down all the way at 2580. Now, it already did do a gigantic open down in the 21s, right? So would it really come back down to the 2580 after those great earnings? Anything is possible, but to know for sure, maybe we can go to a lower time frame just to see if we can see anything else that is closer to that level. But there isn't really. There's the conversion line and baseline essentially right there at 2580 for the daily chart as well. So essentially, there isn't really too much support until way lower. And even if we go down to maybe the 4-hour chart, there we can start to see the conversion line sits at 2819. So maybe that will be our first support level if it cannot break above that 618 $30 level. 30, what was it exactly? It was 3007, right? If it cannot close a weekly candle above that 3007, then possibly it could come back down to that $28 level to retest it, or even go back to the top of the cloud around 2768 to retest the top of the cloud on the 4-hour chart, right? I don't always go to these lower time frames, but when you can't really see any support until way down to the lower levels on the weekly or daily charts, then sometimes it's okay to go to the 4-hour chart just to see if we can see those lower time frame support levels. And sure enough, you can see one right here. So all in all, this chart looks really, really bullish, really good. It's just currently at resistance, and I'm always more cautious at resistance than I am at support. The time to buy was really right down here at the 21, and that level basically, when you look here on the 4-hour chart, that was exactly 2085. And where did price get to on that daily chart or that 4-hour chart? It got to 2082, right? So essentially, that was the time to buy during this panic, and now is not really time to chase. It's time to see if it's going to break this resistance or not. Now, let's switch to the log scale GAN just so we can see some more confluence on that. And the log scale GAN right here is also showing there's more resistance above with that angle. And this angle right here kind of sits around 31, maybe 31.15. So possibly you could see a continuation next week, early in the week, with the Palantir up to the 31 level and possibly get rejected there. So if that gets rejected, there is a possibility to close the week back below that 618 Fibonacci level, below that $30, because this could just turn into a wick next week up here and then close down below lower levels. So just got to be cautious with that. But again, it's back above that orange level. Nice bullish engulfing candle that was really up, what, 21%. It looks really nice. It was a little bit scary when it happened on Monday, right? But then things just took off and never looked back. So this candle looks perfect, right? So just be careful with the resistance above. We know where support is, starting at 28 all the way down to 25. So essentially, those are your zones, but just be cautious because the closer it gets to resistance, then the more selling pressure there could be. But all in all, this is a great chart right now. So there's nothing to fear at all.